Good morning, gardening friends. Today is Sunday, June 8th. It is a beautifully sunny day, probably about 90 degrees by now. Looking at a bird out the window there. I don't know if you can see him, but he's working over the crepe myrtle. I thought we'd start in here to show you my torch begonia. This is the begonia that I've had inside the porch for ages, about 3 years now. This is the problem with begonias like this. For inside, I don't know if you could see, they lose their flower buds constantly. My hydrangea is still doing okay. And my fuchsia is still hanging on, clinging to life. Which has actually lasted longer than had it been outside. They sell fuchsias every year here in Mobile. I'm in a zone 9A, and the fuchsias are going to die. I mean, they do not like our heat and humidity. So the trick is to try and keep them inside someplace where it's a little cooler. Here, everything else is looking fine. The African violet's looking a little worse for wear, but considering that was his second batch of flowers this year, that's not bad. Let's go for a walk. A lot has happened outside this week. Good and bad. Oh, goodness. That first step is always a pain. But here in the front, ooh, the sun is hot. You can see the cycad, female. The cone is looking beautiful. I have no signs of shoots on these lilies of the Nile. This is the one that has always bloomed for me in past years. I don't see any signs yet that it's going to bloom this year. And this female cycad, these are the fruits from last year. But she decided not to send up a cone this year, instead sent the leaves up. I've dug up a bunch of flax lilies here. You'll see a little later from whence they came. But everything here is looking good. We did trim this loropetalum up this week. Oh, I see there's some still clinging bits of dead growth here. I just throw everything underneath the hedges and let them just mulch down naturally. The fig is growing up nicely. Cleomes are not dead yet. Best thing I can say about them. I need to water this front yard. It has not been watered in the last couple of days. We are due for some rain tomorrow, so I'll probably water the potted things. My ponytail palm definitely got burned by bringing it outside. If you're not familiar with ponytail palms, I'll leave that leaf where it is. They have very sharp edges, and if you run your finger up and down the edge, they will cut you. Oh, we're blessed with a plane. Yeah, the birds are wanting me to fill this water bath. I see them hanging around up in the trees. They like to eat there and then bathe. But here you can see I finally did clean this out. We got the tea olives, cut them a second time already this year. And then went ahead, I trimmed up the knockout encore azaleas. Just shaped them a little bit. I don't want to keep them in geometric shapes, but at this time of the year I just cut them down and then let them get fluffy for the rest of the year. Of course, those loropetalums were cut down, I think last week. And I shaped up the sides of the camellias. You do have to go ahead and cut camellias if you're going to trim or shape them in any fashion. You want to do it right after they've bloomed. Otherwise, you can forfeit blooms for next year. So everything here is looking nice and lush and green. So basically everything is trimmed up where it needs to be. The only thing left to do is now weed. But weeding can't do it all. So weeding's going to have to wait for another day. Impatiens have done well. Something is eating them, but they still have some nice color. Wandering Dude you can't kill. My palm, Mediterranean fan palm, is thickening out nicely. That got frozen up this winter, and quite a lot of the leaves were cut off of that. This is my sable minor palm, and it, I don't know if you can see up there, but it sent an inflorescence up into the treetops. See if you can take a close-up of what the inflorescence actually looks like. I've not seen any other than growth, no signs of flowers on my hydrangea. And I think I may have said it once before, but depending on how it does this year, I may wind up losing that hydrangea. I'm tired of waiting for it to perform or do something and put something else in its place. This Mediterranean fan palm had a chance now to catch up to the one that's over there. That one was much taller. And I did cut back the cassia last week, and you can see it's starting to branch out. If you cut it at the tip, you'll usually get two other branches farther down on the stem. So the key I want here is I'm going to let the new, oh, there's a yellow jacket there too, just basking in the sun. But in any event, the idea is to let those branches now grow for 6 to 8 inches, and then I'll trim them back again to get them to bush one more time, and it'll make a thicker bush that way. This little evergreen is doing well. Pay no attention to the weed. That, I forgot the name of it, but I know in English it means hidden flower. I forgot what the Greek name is for it, because the flowers are hidden. I'm getting a second flush of blooms on my lilies, and I can start to smell them already. They have a very sweet fragrance. Bananas are doing well out of the street. They are thickening up nicely. And here you can see the second crop. The ones that died back to the ground are coming back. Again, I couldn't plant anything tall there, anything with deep roots, because that's over the top of a stump of a water oak that was removed a few years ago. It was ground down, however, it's only about 2 feet under the ground, so I have to plant shallow-rooted stuff until the stump rots. Nice picture. I don't come up in the front very often for the windmill palm. And this little crepe myrtle is doing fine. It blooms the same color, I call it watermelon pink, as my old crepe myrtle that we'll see shortly. But the leaves are purple. This one is not going to get as tall as the others. Yeah, these flowers are absolutely gorgeous on this. I was sold it as a milk and wine lily. I'm not so sure it is a milk and wine lily. And one of the bad news, although not that bad, we had a uh-oh this week. And my mailbox was taken out. However, it has been repaired. Concrete is setting. I'll remove the brackets probably tomorrow because I don't like to work on a Sunday. Unfortunately, we did lose a big chunk here of the cactus that was sticking way out, and you can see it's a little the worse for wear. So I will give it a chance to recover naturally, and then I'll go ahead and prune off some of the branches that are going where I don't want them to go. The good news is we were able to get the old concrete out from under the roots of that cactus, without damaging the cactus. It's hard to kill an Opuntia. Anything that breaks off can be stuck in the ground and it will root quite easily. Here's fruits from the flowers. The unfortunate part was the branch that broke off had a couple of flowers that had not yet bloomed, but it is what it is. In the overall scheme of things, I now have a sturdier mailbox than I have ever had before, and it should last me forever. Blackberries are delicious. I am picking them every day. I get usually about a cereal bowl full. That's one thing. I only have 4, and they were planted last year. So if you want an abundant crop of fruit, if you have a spot where blackberries will grow, by all means, I do recommend them because you'll get an abundant harvest from not many plants. Those were bare roots that I got from Walmart, by the way. So they were dirt cheap. Here all is well. Oh, I did trim up some of the new flush of growth on this crepe myrtle to kind of shape it a little. I got rid of anything that was drooping downwards. The birds are not very helpful. There's a pair of bluebirds that like to sit on these branches, these twigs, and they will literally turn them horizontal by the weight of the bird itself. I do need to clean up the bottom. Well, I don't need to. I'm going to clean up the bottom of this cycad. I don't like the females definitely put out a bunch of shoots. Every one of those will sprout. Well, they already have in many cases, but if you cut them off the stalk, you can put them in the ground, and I don't think I've mentioned it recently. I have multiplied quite a few of them, that being one of them. The cycad here was a cutting, this one. So they're very easy to root from seed or from the digging them from the ground. They don't need much roots. They don't have many. Oh, this flax lily is going to go around my mailbox. I'm going to actually amend the soil now that the big chunk of concrete. We put some concrete back in the bottom to hold the pole, but not as much as was there. And the way it's anchored now, I learned something, because I used to like to do a lot of home repair, and I was thinking they were going to have to rebuild the whole kit and caboodle, and what they wound up doing is cutting it off flush, because most of it was in good shape, putting a cap on the bottom, and then using a bracket like you would put for a deck. I never would have thought of that, so they put a new base in, put the bracket for the deck, and then stuck or screwed the mailbox onto that. So actually now it's better off, because if someone hits it, it'll probably break at the bracket and can be easily repaired without much damage to anything. There's always a bright side. Although when I first saw the cactus, I didn't see it. But I had to keep thinking the cactus will be fine. Equisetum is recovering nicely now that it doesn't have the kamikaze cats jumping on top of it. So it may survive another 450 million years, or 500, whatever it is. The Australian tree fern is doing well. Oh, the other thing, ta-da-da-da-da-da. No more bags of leaves. Finally got rid of them all. I put them in the backyard. The holdup has been, I like to weed the spots. I reuse all of, well, I don't reuse, I use all of the leaves ever raked off of this property, and I actually take leaves from other properties, because the guy that does my lawn will bring them for me. But in any event, I like to weed first and use the leaves as mulch. A free mulch, you can't beat that. And I put them underneath all of my plants, and of course it turns to a good soil amendment. So it's good for the soil. I am not an organic gardener because of my palms. I use a lot of artificial fertilizers. So it's an organic addition to my artificial fertilizer regimen. Tomatoes are still doing fine. I'm sick of eating those tomatoes. My lavender. This lavender is about 3 years old. It's one of the few types that likes to grow in my zone 9A, and I think you can see, I can't see to point, but I have 2 other lavenders in pots over there. Good morning. And the lavenders, they're the same type as this. I don't remember what it is, but it's the only one that'll grow here in the heat and humidity. Oh, look, a volunteer. I just love this stuff. You have to keep after it, otherwise don't ever let it go to seed. If it goes to seed and you go to pull that off, the seeds shake off like a pepper shaker and spread all over the place. I swear they're coming over from next door. It's my story and I'm sticking to it. You can see the white jasmine is doing well on these topiaries. Short of that one needs some of the nandina removed from it. Smells very fragrant. I can smell it from about 4 feet away. It will look good once when it fills these topiary forms, and it will eventually. Also trimmed up some of these shrubs. We trimmed the camellia. I have only like 2 camellias left. I wanted to get all the camellias, and I did, but for the big ones. And I also trimmed up these Pride of Mobile azaleas. Again, more of this vine. I think it's called bindweed. This is one of the few bushes, besides the crepe myrtle in the front that was just trimmed, that were here when I bought the house. Oh, and that nandina, I tell a lie. Those 3 were here originally. Everything else I pretty much planted myself. So this one is probably, I've been here for 30 years, so it's probably 40 to 50 years old. This one was a cutting I bought for $2 way back when at the Mobile flea market. And it's almost the size of the older one. I don't like to penalize the older one to catch up with the little one. The little one will keep growing. I just fertilize the little one more, encouraging it to get bigger. But it's actually a fairly nice bush. This is a sad-looking Pieris japonica, but it is living. It is still alive, and it shows some signs of growth. I believe it got stepped upon when my AT&T man came to do the fix my landline. Yes, I still have a landline. I use it for my security system. Cordylines are doing nicely. Yeah, it's funny how that is. Whenever you get work done around the house, you usually take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. However, the plants will recover. I have to keep telling myself that. I'm coming in the backyard. I like to stand in this gate because you get a nice breeze when the door is open. I hear squawky birds, so the kittens are out and about somewhere. They were not all around this morning when I fed them, but they were last night. They're back here somewhere, haunting the place. Actually, while I'm here, I'll go ahead and lock the gate. Coleus are doing well, but you do have to water these every day, otherwise they wilt. I watered the backyard in good last night. This yellow jessamine, Gessamine, is doing well here. If it gets a little taller, it will eventually make it to my trellis at the top. I am fighting air potato. It wants to come back. It's still got a bulb in the ground. This is air potato, but I have to be careful yanking it that I don't get the jasmine. Still getting my African iris, but that one has seen better days. These bushes are doing fine. These are the Chemisiporus, false cypress. I did have my garage work done this week. It's not quite finished yet, but it's getting there. The good news is I did the bottom of that. So actually, I did all of that side. And didn't really do a good job. They did the rest of the garage, the contractors that I've got. But I turned those lights on. I don't use those lights very much, and I turned them on, and when the light shone down over my side, you could see how wavy it was. I didn't pay a lot of attention to nailing those boards in. I just nailed them until they were snug, and I should have shimmed some of them because they were wavy. So in any event, they undid what I did and put it back so it looks good. There will need to be a final coat done on the garage of paint, but can't really be done because we're in a rainy spell right now here in Mobile, and rain comes at least once a day, every day. So it really can't do paint. My herb bed is looking good. No change here. That's a squawky catbird. Let's take a look on the back side. The trim was finished back here. The trim was finished at the garage. I forgot what it's called now. These pots are doing well. This gets a little worse for wear from squirting with water. I use a hose and have to squirt it way back in there. Garçonniere, that's what it is. It's a nice view from here. You actually get a nice breeze now that this little piece of fence was removed. Mobile was originally settled by the French. I believe it was in 1720. So we're reverting to our French roots here with a garçonniere. Everything on the deck is looking fine. I had to move this caladium because those corms were overwintered in the garage. I just actually tossed them on the floor and forgot about them. And 3 of them survived, so I put them in that pot. So they survived the winter storage, but they did not survive the kamikaze cats or kittens. So I had to put it there to keep it away from the kittens. Same as the case here for my Gara. The kittens kamikaze that. They so far have left my toad lily alone. This bougainvillea is leafing out again. It's an odd duck. It has a lot. I've got to weed the pot. But it had green leaves, then it went full flush of blooms, and then all the leaves fell off. Now the blooms are falling off, leaves are coming back. The kamikaze kittens hit my crocosmia and flattened it, so I have a lot of wire supports in there. So now that they go kamikaze on it, they're in for a surprise. What they like to do is they'll run, scamper from about 10, 12 feet away, stop, and then jump 3 foot up in the air and smack down onto something. There's more Confederate jasmine. This area looks nice now that it's been cleaned up. Of course, I've got my fountains on. I see the cats have thrown a few seashells into the fountain, which is okay. Or some animal. I can't blame it all on the cats. Although I can blame a good portion of it on. I did notice yesterday when I was watering that we have fruits coming. Make sure I get the water off my hands so you don't have watermarks on the phone or on the screen. This palm is getting fruits, as is the one on the far side. This is the Pindo palm, also called the jelly palm. Those fruits will ripen and they are edible. I'm not crazy about the taste, but some people are. They are juicy. They have big seeds in them. And herein lies the rub. I did replant these ground palms, but I did make a mistake here. It is a flaw, but I'm sticking with it. This is a lady palm, a sprout, and I told you before it's got a long stem runner underneath, but no roots under that yet. So if you try to cut it, you won't have it take a successful cutting. But if you look at the texture of the leaves, lady palm, pleated palm or ground palm, aspidistra, they all look the same. And of the two, the aspidistra you can't kill, even with hard frosts. Lady palm you have to protect. And these, if it gets chilly, they die. So they die back. They're ground hardy, but they die back to the ground. But I know the difference and can enjoy them. The kittens have discovered these pots and are continuously knocking them over. But right now they're upright. Coleus is doing well there. I have to move this one. However, I noticed it was rooted in the ground. I was just going to bump it a little. I maybe flip-flop it with the Colocasia because I don't really care about the Colocasia. I'm keeping it alive just to have some in the backyard. It's a good pot filler. Back in here I've got more pleated palm or ground palm. Let's step back here. I remember from last week. This is really the only spot you can see it from if you don't have the sun in the view. But the Canary Island date palm is doing well. While we're here, David is looking resplendent. Well, the Nandinas are resplendent. David's just in the shade. Something is making a path to that water bath in the monkey grass. Don't know if you can see that, which means Godot may be back here. This is the time of the year that my wild tortoise does appear. So I need to make sure I keep his water bowl filled. The vincas are still doing well back there. Now let's go this way. Blueberries, I've been picking bowls of blueberries, not as abundant as the blackberries are. However, they are still delicious nonetheless. They're not the hugest blueberries in the world. Next year I'll fertilize them, but they are delicious. This batch of Coleus has done well, especially these three green ones. When I had them in separate pots, the kamikaze kittens kept knocking the pots over. So putting them here, they tend to not bother Coleus, although they are intrigued by knocking small pots off of the deck. Go figure. My pink angel's trumpet is blooming, and my pecan is doing really well. It's actually starting to shade this area of the garden. Here is where we spent a lot of time this last week. I trimmed up the Trachyospermum jasminoides, and here's where we put a few bags of leaves here and here. Here's more of that lavender, by the way. When I discover something that does well, I repeat it, and lavender does extremely well in pots. Here's another clump of ground palm. I clustered it together. It was spread out in that area, so I dug it up and clumped it together. Tried to get it as far away from the aspidistra as I can. The aspidistra burned terribly over here. I had miscalculated when I cut back the Nandinas. The sun was already too hot and it scalded the aspidistras behind there. Here's where I wound up putting the frangipani, and it has a bunch of flower buds on this first stalk and nothing at all on the back stalk. They do not like to be moved. So hopefully I didn't disturb it too badly by putting it there. It will need to be brought in for the winter. Those green things there are just the cuttings of the jasmine. And these two, this one and this one, the cassias, are doing well. I can't wait till the fall because this will be a beautiful pop of yellow in both of those spots. The unfortunate part about cassius is they do defoliate for the winter. Here is this batch of fruit. Not much has happened to it off of this pindo palm. And here is the other area that I use some of the bags of leaves. In fact, there's a bag being reused for trash now. But I weeded here and put the leaves down. And it's looking good. I have room for more leaves here, but I need to wait till I accumulate some. This is looking extremely lush. One good thing about yellow, yellow really stands out from a distance, as does the yellow in that little pot there. That was put in this year. The sedum, you don't ever really need to buy more than one pot of sedum. I'll tell you a trick. This whole pot was no more than 2 or 3 of these jammed into the ground this spring. And it's not too late. Actually, that's one of the reasons I just threw that in there. If it hits the ground, it will grow. If you get sedum, the birds like to eat it. Chickens like to eat it. I don't have chickens, but just an aside. And what they'll do is they'll drop little bits of it like that all over. And 90% of those little bits will catch. Strawberries are just about gone. This area is going to get cleaned up this week. Just couldn't do it all last week. A lot was done, but there's always more work. The garden is never really finished, so you might as well enjoy it along the way. The male cycad is looking like it's not going to get much taller. It's starting to droop. It's sad today. But the sooner it droops and falls off, the sooner we'll get other leaves there. This wandering dude looks a little unkempt for now, and it is. It likes to overwhelm the monkey grass. The reason I've left it is, oh, there's one of the kittens playing by the garage there. All of the ginger cats I have, the 3 of them, are males. That's where the little kittens live, under that deck. So there's probably another cat under there. 2 of them are definitely males. The other 2 are undecided because I see them fighting, playing, and most males are obvious, except 2 of those are really fluffy. So it's hard to tell if they're a male or a female. So it looks like 5 of my 7 kittens are males, which is a good thing. But I was saying this about the what was that? The wandering dude. If you want to, the wandering dude is another thing you really only ever need to buy 1 of, because what I do with it, I'll show you on this because this is really kind of long for anything. But you break it off, usually below a node, like that. Breaks off easily. Take off that bottom leaf. Take a pencil, a screwdriver, anything that'll make a hole, a chopstick, stick it in the ground, put this in the hole, and it will grow. You don't really even need to water it all that much. If you have a compost pile and you just toss it like that on the top of the compost pile, it will grow. It has its own moisture in it. So, and of course rain will help. So that's another plant besides the sedum that you really only ever need to buy 1 of. This sedum I made a circle this year. See how close that kitten will let us get. Oh, that was as close as she'll let us get. Or it will let us get. But yes, so it was a busy week. A lot done. It's kind of a major push on my part. I get done early in the morning. I get out here about 7 and am done by about 9 or 10. And what that means is it's never going to be cooler than that. So I'm trying to get a major push of getting the majority of stuff done before the heat of summer kicks in. The good thing about the heat of summer is what you don't water will usually not live. And so you can selectively water your weeds or not water them. This caladium grouping is nice. It has now grown above the cats. Of course, they'll still kamikaze into it, as they did with this group of begonias this week. I was sitting here on the deck when one of the little ginger ones decided to jump up into that. I did notice exciting news on the cardboard palm front. It not only has this shoot, but it has 1, 2, 3 other ones. This is I believe it's my 3rd year for this cardboard palm. So it waited until the 3rd year to show any signs of change. These are doing really well. I used to know the names of them, but the cats chewed the label off. So, and I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head right now. Mints are still doing well. The kittens seem to leave stinky stuff alone, like mints, onions, and my eucalyptus. These caladiums are doing well, sending up new growth. Oh, and I counted some of the pitchers. All of these pitchers that look new are indeed new, and they've come on since I brought it out from the winter. So it looks like I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Of course, there's a little baby one forming there. I'm not counting it yet. 6, 7, a bunch, 8. And the other exciting thing is I've never had one do this before. It's sending out new shoots. I'm over my head, so hopefully you can see my fingers. Normally it sends out these long, I don't know if you call them branches, whatever, but it very rarely, at least I've never seen it branch off of that main stem before. That's the first. And that's how it grows. It sends its little pitchers up to latch onto things. So I have to be careful here because those little things will latch onto my caladiums and twine around, and then they'll make a pitcher. So that's how they kind of cling to things in the wild. These pitcher plants are doing okay. They're oh, I don't know if you can see them, but there is a dragonfly. I remember sitting here watching that dragonfly, and I think what the dragonfly was using, I think he was using me for bait, because mosquitoes would come around and he would zap the mosquitoes off of me. Friendly guy though. Let's see what else is going on here. My rose scented geranium is still good. Again, the cats are leaving that alone. They have left so far, although they like to use the pots because I guess it's cool, but they've left the eucalyptus bee. This has been knocked over twice in the last couple of days, so it's looking a little the worse for wear. And I wanted to mention this desert rose. Give it an honorable mention. It is absolutely in full bloom, and it has been blooming. I haven't mentioned it because I take it for granted. It has been blooming for like, I want to say 2 or 3 weeks now. That was the one that I had wintered over in my bedroom, and just about all of the leaves fell off of it. I thought I had lost it. I bought it last fall. Never had a big one like that before. Yeah, this poor papyrus was laying on its side today. The cats will climb up that mesh and then knock the plant over and then get inside and play with each other inside of it. And they also broke that one down. You can see the stem, but it is what it is. It'll come back. And they've also flattened my marigolds. It's all stuff that will come back. But there you have it for today. I'm already misting. It's a little warm out here today. I'm trying to figure out what to leave you with a picture of today. I think I'll just leave you with a picture of the pelargonium. So have a good week. I hope you all get out into your yards. Be mindful of the heat. And take care for now.